So let's get right into today's teaching. Let me set things up. And I want to talk to you about, that's not the first one. Let me get back to the first one. Here we go. Evaluating your hives in August to help you prepare your bees for winter. Now, you might start thinking, David, it's going to be the hottest month ever. August is the dog days of August. How in the world can we be thinking about getting our bees ready for winter? Well, you can't wait for winter to do something about your bees, right? And actually, to be fair, I think winter preparation starts the first day that you come out of winter with your bees, or the first day that you start with your package or your nucleus. From that point, you're preparing your bees for winter all year long. And so I want to get right into this lesson today, evaluating your hives in August for winter survival. And the first thing I want to talk about is really one of the things we have to face is pests and diseases. For those of you that are new beekeepers, I have found historically, and it may not be true anymore, but it has been true for a long time, is that new beekeepers oftentimes give pests and diseases the least amount of attention, because there's so much other things to learn that are huge and that are obvious, like my bees aren't growing, or my queen is dead, or I don't have any brood, and I can't get my frames pulled out. With all of that going on, it's kind of overwhelming to think about pests and diseases, especially when pests are hard to see, like the Varroa destructor is small, hard to see with your eyes. Even the small hive beetle, you may not be able to detect it or see it or notice it if it's down in a cell or something. And of course, diseases such as American foul brood, European foul brood, these are kind of new to new beekeepers, and they may not know how to identify those, what to look for as far as a visual image in the month of August. But these are the things that really concern us now, because if we have these problems in August, they're going to carry all the way through into fall, into winter, and be detrimental. So educate yourself. I've made a lot of videos on doing mite tests. I've made videos on small hive beetle. I've got some really thorough videos on small hive beetle and how to identify them and how to treat for those. And I've got some thorough videos on how to perform mite washes, get your mite numbers get your mites under control. And of course, I've made a lot of videos on my methods of controlling mites, like green drone comb, breaking the queen's brood cycle. And of course, you can always fall back to treatments if that's in your philosophy of using treatments like Formic Pro, if the temperatures are correct, oxalic acid with a vaporizer, and ApiGuard, these softer type approaches that you can use. So there's a lot of arsenals, there's a lot of tools in the toolbox today that really deal with the Varroa destructor. Now, as far as the small hive beetle, the best thing you can do there is to keep your hive really strong, heavily populated, and try to do some traps with some oil traps that go between the frames, some Swisher dryer pads material. It's microfiber-like materials that you put near the edges of the boxes, and the little small hive beetle get their legs stuck in there. You still have to kill them usually, but they get trapped in that. And then the bees will try to eat that up, tear it up, move it out of the hive. But meanwhile, you can put some in there and kind of tack it down in such a way where the bees can't destroy it. So do be thinking about how you control your pests and diseases now. Get that under control. We'll talk a little bit more about mites in just a minute. Now, the other thing that a lot of you have been asking me about is box configuration. I made a video 2 or 3 videos ago where it was last Friday, where I answered the questions you've been asking. What do you do with the box configuration? A lot of people have started keeping bees in a single deep. Now, that's something that has been practiced in the extreme south in the U.S., like draw a line through, the southern states like Mississippi, Alabama, draw a line that way. And everybody south of there usually gets by with a single deep in winter. But I've seen more and more people up north going to that single deep configuration, and that's fine. If that's your thing, good luck. I hope it works out well for you. I would never do that personally, where I live here in Illinois, I need a lot of bees. I do. I want them to make it through winter as a big cluster. I've read a lot of books by Dr. Tom Seeley that talks about the size the hive should be, and all indications show that a larger hive does better. Now, a lot of times we follow commercial beekeepers that may use single deeps, but a lot of them are in the South where they don't have the extreme winters, or a lot of them are way up north where they put their hives in buildings in the wintertime. So I prefer to keep my bees in double deeps, or at least a deep and another medium. And so be thinking about how you want to configure your boxes. We don't want a huge amount of boxes, because then, the little cluster is in a big, tall, multiple box structure. And I think that's not always good. But you don't want it so tiny that the cluster just is packed in there. They don't have room to make a little brood in the spring or something. So lots to think about there. It's all up to you how you want to do it. I'm not the final authority on beekeeping. Don't think that I'm trying to ever tell you how you should do it, or my way's the highway. Don't believe that at all. I think if you're somebody that practices single deeps and you love it, good for you. You've mastered that technique, especially for those of you that live up north and you don't put them in buildings. Good for you. I'm glad you've worked that out. I do think feeding bees that are in single deeps is a must. Now, the other thing you want to do in preparing your August hive, when you do your August inspections, you're looking for brood and resources. Now, I came up with this easy way to remember how to go into a hive and do an inspection, and that is 3, 4, like 3 and 4. And if you haven't seen me teach on this, I've made a couple of videos now, but the 3 types of brood is what you're looking for when you do an inspection. Eggs, which are obvious, a little harder to see, and then larvae, the little grub, the little worm, whatever you want to say it is, in the back of the cell there. And then you have your capped over pupae. That's the 3 types of the 3 stages of brood that you're looking for every time you do an inspection. And you just don't want to look at it and say, aha, I see it. No, you want to look at it and say, how much do I have? Are there several frames of eggs? Is there a lot of eggs being laid by the queen? Do my larvae look pearly white? Are they swimming in a pool of royal jelly? They always should be swimming in a pool of royal jelly. Otherwise, they're in starvation mode. And they may grow up and become adult bees that are sick, weak, and won't make it to the longevity of their life, which is 45 days. Now, the 4 represents the 4 different types of resources that you're looking for when you do a hive inspection in August. You're looking for nectar, which is out of the nectaries of flowers. It's not capped over yet. It's the kind of stuff that falls out of your frame when you're holding it sideways over your hive and you see liquid dripping out. That's nectar. It's so thin that it drips out of cells when you pick it up and hold it. Now, the honey, on the other hand, that's number 2 out of the 4. The honey is the capped over. It's been dried down to 16, 17, 18% moisture, and it's capped over. That's honey. If it's not capped over, it's not called honey. It's called nectar. And then the 3rd type of resource we're looking for is pollen. Pollen is a protein that bees gather from flowers. They transfer it from flower to flower. It's the male gamete. It's a way of fertilizing the flowers. But you're looking for pollen stored in the cells, different colors. It can be dark and almost black and freak you out in the fall. Don't worry. And then the final resource we're looking for, the 4th one, is the bee bread. Combination of pollen with enzymes that the bees add to it to make it almost start to ferment, but it's a way of storing it a little bit better long term. So you're always doing a 3, 4. Can you remember that? Please do. Anytime you're looking at, you got to say, I got to remember David's 3, 4 technique in doing my inspection. If you see any of these things that are short, like if you don't see any eggs or very few eggs, you don't see much larvae, or capped over brood is spotty, these are all indications of problems. And that's why you have to look into each step, each type of these stages of this brood. Eggs, lack of eggs, you got a queen problem. Larvae does not pearly white, that is gray, twisted, and it's dying in cells. Sounds like European foul brood is a possibility. perforated capped over pupae. Sunken brood is greasy. Sounds like American foul brood if it's smelly. So those are the things that you look for. It's real easy. And the resources are easy as well. You need resources in August. You don't want to run empty even in the month of August. That should be plenty of, there should be plenty of resources in your hive. Also, I wanted to share that in the month of August, this really is one of the final months that you have to get your hive queen right. Now, I know a lot of times some of you may be wrestling with the queen's failing right now. She is just not present and accounted for. What happened? Or you might see superseding cells. And occasionally, this is not uncommon. Listen up. You can actually have swarm cells in the fall. Yeah, that's right. A nectar flow in the fall can generate the hive to want to swarm. You'll see swarm cells. So that means they could swarm, replace your queen, and have trouble getting her mated. All of these things mean that you have to keep a close eye on making sure you're queen right in the month of August. This is also one of your final months, usually, depending on where you live, but final months where you need to start thinking about combining a weak hive. Now, combining a hive is simple. We've talked about it. Use the newspaper combination trick. Put a newspaper between a strong hive and a weak hive and kill the queen in the weak hive and combine them with a strong hive. And then eventually use a brush to brush all the bees down into the 2 deeps or single deep before you go into winter so you can get your box configuration back where you need it. Don't leave the boxes on there forever, too many boxes. So this is one of the final months where you start thinking, can this hive make it through winter? And the answer is, do they have all 3 stages of ample brood? Do they have all 4 types of different resources that are in those frames? Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is when you take an aggressive approach to mite control. It really is. I don't want to harp on it too much. I do want to harp on it, but I won't because I think really successful beekeepers are those who really keep their mites under control. That's all it is to it. I know you can read on Facebook groups, you can see it on YouTube and all. People will say things like, we don't have to control mites. Let the bees figure it out. I don't treat my mites. They're doing fine. That's a roll of the dice. It really is. All studies, all indication, most books show that mites really do transmit these different viruses that cause our bees to only live half their lifetime. So do consider how important it is to be aggressive with your mites. Now, as we talk about preparing for winter, we do have to make sure we have a very strong queen. And that means that she needs to be laying a lot of eggs. And you do need to have a lot of excess resources. One of the ways that I was taught early on, some 20 plus years ago, to know if I had enough resources in my hive was to go around back and lift up on the back of the hive to pick it up, see what it feels like. Nobody ever told me what it's supposed to feel like. And I'm older now. I hate to admit this. I don't think I am, but but if I go along with what everybody else says, you get older, or when you get older, you get weaker. So it probably feels heavier to me now. I don't know. So what I did to figure this out was when, 20 plus years ago, when somebody said, just go around the back, pick up the back of the hive a little bit, see what it feels like. I took an empty hive with frames in it and comb, drawn out comb, no bees though, no honey, no bees. And I picked it up to see what it would feel like. I kind of tared, T-A-R-E, I tared the scale of my arm, I guess. I zeroed it out. So I thought, okay, that's what it feels like empty. So now I can walk up to a hive and I can kind of minus that much out in my head and say, okay, oh gosh. So I found if I had trouble lifting it, if it was so heavy that it was noticeably heavy, that's what I needed. Here in Illinois, I need 70 to 80 pounds on there to make it through winter if I choose not to feed them. That's how much honey that you need on there for the bees to eat up in the wintertime. That's going to be different if you live in the far south or if your winters only last a half a day. But my winters will last pretty near 5 solid months. All right. So yeah, you got to think about having enough excess resources on there to get your bees through the winter. Now, of course, I'll talk a little bit more about this in a second. So let me skip down. Number 3, we need to feed our bees in August, especially during the dearth, which usually happens in August for me. And I need to do that to raise bees of winter physiology. It just triggers the bees. It gives them the upper hand, the leverage to utilize the one-to-one sugar water with resources or additives that we give them to actually prompt the queen to continue laying brood, when most of the time the queen will back off because it gets darker earlier and it's no resources coming in the front door, and the queen will back off. They'll just feed her less. She won't lay as many eggs. But if I can stimulate her to lay more eggs now, August, September, October, those are bees that live 4 to 8 months. And that's our winter physiology bees that we'll see in the spring. So important to have those bees in the house. So that's how we do it, is by feeding our bees when a dearth starts. Now is the time to figure out what you're going to use to feed your bees in the wintertime and get that stuff on hand. Here in Illinois, we're gonna be getting cold in a couple of months in October, and I don't really start feeding my bees much until I get into December. And of course, at that point, what I feed my bees are my winter bee kinds. I created these, and these winter bee kinds are, if you haven't seen the winter bee kinds, it's an installation board with food on it, our special recipe. When you buy one, we include that recipe for you to refill it if you want to. But these winter bee kinds go on top of your hive, underneath your top cover. They go right on top of your upper box, whatever your top box is. If you have 2 deeps, and that's the only thing you have for winter, you put it on top of the 2 deeps. If you got 2 deeps and a honey super, put the winter bee kind on top of the honey super, put the top on it, put a brick on it. Now, something has really been amazing this year. These went on sale today, and we have sold an extreme amount of these already in one day. I'm not trying to generate more sales. I don't need to do that. We sell out every year. I'm just wanting to give you a heads up, or you're going to be mad at me. These are selling fast. So be sure and check those out. Whatever your deal is, if you're using your own fondant, if you're using somebody else's kind of sugar, whatever, just make sure that you have secured your winter food, get that in place, ready to go on your hive. Make sure you buy it in time to put it on there this winter. So don't let that slip by your head. The other thing is Mite Control. Now, I've talked a little bit about that already, but this is the best way that you can really prepare your bees for winter. And I can't stress this enough. Just look at it this way. If your bees of winter physiology are parasitized by the mites, that means bites have bit them and spread their viruses through the bite point of entry, then that means these bees that may have lived 4 to 8 months are only going to live 2 to 4 months. Gosh, if let's say a bee emerges in November and lives 2 months, December, January, they're dead. If they live 4 months, March, they're dead. How many people lose their bees in March? I would say the average number of beekeepers in the north that are trying to get their bees through winter but lose them every year, they seem to make it to January, February, and sometimes March. They never make it to spring. And this is called a half-life. These viruses are weakening the bees so much that the bees are actually dying in the hive. And a lot of times people come out of winter with a small number of bees. And they're like, what happened? Well, the bees died slowly. On warm-up days, the bees that were there, they were shoving them out the front maybe. Or your bees just got so small that you didn't realize that you didn't have many bees of winter physiology at all. So August is a month. I can't stress this enough. Please, it's a month you solve problems. Now is the time you have got to solve these problems. I'm not going to put pressure on you if you can't do it because you're ill or you've got a sore back or you've lost your motivation about your bees. It's okay. Don't sweat it. I don't want to put that kind of undue pressure on you. If you're having some mental stress or issues, just don't worry about your bees. Do the best you can. But if all is going well and you're strong and you want to do something, look, it's a time to solve problems, okay? Solve your queen issue. Replace your queen if she's not pulling her own weight. If she doesn't have frame after frame of eggs and good larvae and capped over brood in August, something's wrong, got to replace her. If you got spotty brood in August, yeah, don't take any chances. Let's replace her. Now you need to configure the hive for winter. Start thinking about what is going to be the way that you're going to run through winter and start manipulating your frames and boxes to accommodate that. In other words, if you've got 4 deeps and you only want 2 deeps, you've got to figure out how to get 40 frames down to 20 frames. And I just say pick the best 20 frames out of your 40, run with that. But you know what I mean? Start configuring it, getting your bees house set up the way that you want them to go through winter. I want to talk a little bit about population misconceptions. Please understand that right now, the bees that you see in your hive in the 1st of August, you won't see them in 40 days. They'll be gone. So we have this misconception that when we look at fall inspections, we start to think, oh, wow, they're really populated well. Yeah, but they're populated well with bees that are going to die in 40 days. So what you want to do is not think about that, but start trying to figure out how can you populate your hive by raising a lot of bees of winter physiology. So you're going to look at your population of capped over brood in the month of maybe September. And if you can inspect in October, those are months that you need 4 or 5 frames of capped over brood. That's bees of winter physiology. Those bees you'll see in the spring. You see what I'm saying? So adult bees, please, adult bees don't really matter to me when I'm doing my late summer, fall inspections, that number of adult bees. I'm looking for how much capped over brood am I going to have? Because that capped over brood, when they emerge, they'll live 4 to 8 months. Oh, I love that. It's so cool. So be thinking about that. Don't be fooled by big adult populations. Rest assured that you have good upcoming brood in the future. And then the final thing I want to share that you need to do in August is really get on guard about robbing. I see a lot of robbing from people that write us and have problems. B Team 6 members deal with a lot of robbing. B Team 6 is a mentorship program where I mentor beekeepers. But a lot of people wrestle with robbing. And that is nature's way of getting the strong to survive winter. Bears do it, animals do it, bees do it. They have to bulk up before they go into a winter. And they bulk up, believe it or not, by robbing smaller colonies. So if you got a weak colony or a colony that you made a mistake and you put an entrance feeder on it in the fall, right in the entrance, they're going to get robbed out. Or maybe you left, this happens. People will take some honey supers that they extracted and they'll put the super right in front of a hive thinking that the hive will clean it up or, get all the wet honey off of it. And that hive's going to be robbed out in no time. Anytime you feed in the fall or put supers out, don't put them anywhere near your hives. It will attract robbers. But we love the robber screens that we sell. They have such a great way. You put them on at night or in the morning early, and you open a little door away from the entrance. They also have a way that you can use them for a mouse guard for winter to keep mice out. So there's a lot of options for you. And those are some things to think about on how to evaluate your hive for August and steps you need to take. And I do believe that a lot of you will have a lot of questions for me tonight on this very subject. And I'm ready for them. Or any subject on beekeeping. I'll tackle your questions. What do you got for me tonight, friends? What kind of questions? The mag. Okay. When is it a good time to remove an entrance reducer? It's been in the 90s, humid in Western Mass, and noticed some bearding just last night, so I decided to remove it. Only one hive, so robbing shouldn't happen. Well, okay, first of all, only one hive, robbing shouldn't happen. You're not off the hook because it's believable that there are a lot of bees within a 3 or 4 mile radius of where you live, which is thousands of acres. So those bees are likely the ones that will be coming over and trying to rob your hive. Okay, so don't think you're off the hook based on just that one hive. Every hive is at risk of being robbed. The humidity is always, the humidity is what forces our bees to beard, actually. Anytime that you work bees in a bee suit, and let's say it's 85 degrees and it's dry air, the humidity maybe 60%. It's like, oh my gosh, it doesn't feel bad at all, right? But if you're in the 85 degrees Fahrenheit bee suit and the humidity is 90%, you're dying. You're so hot. Thank you, Carrie, for your donation of Super Sticker tonight. So it's the same with bees. If it's very humid outside, they're going to beard, they get hot. Take the entrance reducer off. If your bees are bearding, if they're sweating, if they're hot, bees don't sweat. But if it, you know what I mean? Yeah, let's remove that. Let them have a little bit more free air going past it. But then you got to watch for robbing. The robber screens actually do have quite a bit of ventilation on them. The bees can help with that, but it's a battle. There's no perfect way. I know a lot of you, I can pick up on what new beekeepers go through, but they say, you know, my bees are hot. There's a lot of bees bearding, but if I put a robber screen, won't that make them hotter? We're always wrestling with usually two problems at the same time, and we just do our best to mitigate which one am I going to have to do. It's no perfect one that will solve all problems. Margaret, during hive inspection last Saturday, I saw either a small hay beetle or a wax moth larva crawl across a top bar. Probably a wax moth. How quickly do I need to get the supers off and frames frozen? How much space to leave for bees? Okay. Small hay beetle is much smaller than a wax moth larvae. I would say wax moth, the greater wax moth, usually will get to about 3/4 of an inch, and I do see them scooting across top bars more than I do small hay beetle larvae. Small hay beetle in their wandering stage seem to stay inside of the comb. I'm not saying you may not see one scoot across there, but they seem to be burrowing their way through your honey and your brood and eggs and everything. They're terrible. Oh, small hay beetle larvae are awful. But nonetheless, both can destroy comb and your hives. I would get it into the freezer as soon as you can, I think. How much space to leave for bees? I assume you mean getting ready for winter. Again, you want it pretty tight. You don't need to really worry about them swarming. So, you know, for me, I need at least one deep and one medium super here in Illinois. But most of the time, I've got 2 deeps for my brood area. That'd be 20 frames. That works good for me. Thanks, Adam, for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate it. All right. Joshua, is it too late to split a really strong hive and have them make a queen here in Michigan? Yeah, it's too fast. It's too soon. Or sorry, it's too late. I would not do it. There's a lot that the bees would have to do between now and your winter. Could you do it? I mean, if you were in a pinch and that was the only way that it was going to keep the world moving, I think we could pull it off. But the chances of that happening are well below 50% in my book. If you're a new beekeeper and if you haven't kept bees maybe 5 or 10 years, your chances of making that work is down to 5%. I'm just pulling these numbers out, but I'm just trying to illustrate that I wouldn't even try it. I wouldn't try to split a hive and make it work for winter. And I've got warmer weather than you do. So a little bit too late to make those splits, in my opinion. But if you feel like trying it and it may work out for you, fingers crossed, feed them, wrap them. Who knows? Hey, Brian, is it common for a queen not to lay in the first week after her mating flight? Absolutely, it is common. Absolutely. It's very much expected. This year, I did a little experiment. I caught a swarm, and of course, that swarm had a mated queen in it. But they don't feed their queen that well before they swarm to make her where she can fly good. So they cut back on feeding her. Anyway, I caught the swarm, put it in a box, and I kept checking how long does it take a mated queen to start laying after I caught a swarm. Did you know that it took 5 days before I saw an egg from a mated queen? So you can imagine a newly mated queen that all the sperm that she's collected on her mating flight in her spermatheca everything just has to develop and mature. Let's put it that way. So you're looking at least a week before you start seeing eggs on a newly mated queen. And then you might see more than one in a cell and think you have laying workers. She just starts laying eggs and she'll put 2 in a cell maybe. Melissa, bees land on me in the yard and hover at our doors because of dirt and sweet smells. I'm now feeding 1-to-1 and wearing peppermint oil when I go out with the dog. Should this make them disinterested in me? Well, that's very interesting. I can't really read the minds of bees. I have heard people talk about peppermint, using peppermint oil to cut down on small hive beetle inside a hive and everything like that. I've tried that and it doesn't work for me. Peppermint oil. Beetles just sit there and have a party on top of the peppermint oil pad. It's like So, as far as what you're wearing, are you wearing perfume or some sort of smell? Maybe you washed your hands with lavender soap or something. You know, the bees are so desperate. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit crazy. Are you ready? I swear that this time of the year, when there's a dearth and I'm feeding bees, if I feed my bees like an open feeder and it runs out, you can ask Sherry, she'll confirm this. If that feeder runs out, bees will come to our kitchen window where we sit and have breakfast. They will literally bang their head against that window. They will look at us and knock on the window. Now, you can call me crazy if you want to. I'm just reporting what happens. Now, when I go back there and fill it up again, they don't come knocking on my window anymore. I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but that might be something you might consider in your area. If you can feed your bees during a dearth, either from the hive or an open feeder somewhere, maybe they'll leave you alone. Larry became a member of my YouTube channel. Thanks so much. I think now we have 100 members that are Nectar Novice or a Beak Squad ambassador supporting my YouTube channel. All of you, I appreciate all of you so much. We're going to have a live stream with just our members coming up, I think, maybe a week after I get back from EAS. So be sure and join the membership so that we can have a more intimate, smaller group setting of members live stream. So that's a lot of fun. Yep. Pamela, hi, I have one hive that was building queen cells and drones. I believe they are superseding the queen as it's a swarm, I call it. But I put robbing screen on, will this hinder the new queen? Oh, because you think that she may not be able to get out of the hive and go on a mating flight. No, it won't hinder the queen at all. She knows the pathway out. She'll actually go out several times. I've made a video. I know it's hard to go back in my archive a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel, but I've made videos where I've actually followed the Virgin Queen on her experimental flights around the hive. It's real fun to watch her. She'll just go out like any other bee and do orientation flights around the hive for maybe an hour. She'll fly out, she'll measure, she'll go look at the back of the hive, the front, fly back in, go a little bit further out. I don't think she'll have any trouble getting out of that hive and coming back in. That's just what they do. And sometimes bees are in crevices of buildings and they have to go through a left turn and a right turn to get out. They figure that out. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Hey, Robert, appreciate the super sticker tonight. Appreciate it. Takes a lot of money to make the live stream work because we live way out in the middle of nowhere. We have to go a long way just to get to a hard road. Anybody leave a comment if you know what I mean by hard road. It literally is what it means. I live down a gravel lane and I live down a gravel road and I have to go all the way out there to get to a hard road. And to get internet, I have to go all the way up into outer space. That costs me a little money. So I appreciate your donations to help fund the cause. Hey, Sarah, I'm fixing to take my supers off to extract my honey. Congratulations. Yay. That's great. Should I leave them off after extraction or add back for the bees to have room? Oh, I'm making a video about that. It's going to be published pretty soon. I don't like the idea of adding it back because it might give them room, but it's nothing in there, no resources. And it sounds like maybe they won't make any more this year. And if that's the case, they might go up in there in the wintertime and not have anything to eat. So I'm not crazy about adding it back. Now, you can add it back if you want them to dry or clean it up. That's the best place to let the bees clean up a super, is to put it back on the hive, not out in the yard. Let them just, lick it dry, and then you can take it off again, shake the bees out, take it off, and store it somewhere good. It's always good to freeze it first and then store it after you freeze it in a dry, low humidity room. Absolutely. If you don't freeze it first, you're liable to get small hay beetle eggs that will emerge, or wax moth larvae eggs that emerge and tear that comb up. So it's good to freeze it first. Yep. The Morris Homestead. Hey, David, I had my first state bee I had my first state bee inspection on Saturday. What should I expect? What state do you live in? No matter what state you live in, inspections are pretty much going to be the same. You have a bee inspector that's going to come out, and what they're going to be looking for, they're going to be looking for the possibility of severe problems, namely American foul brood. So they're looking for brood diseases. They're looking for maybe your mite levels. They're looking for small hay beetles. They're kind of just looking to see the health of your overall colony. I would expect it to go really well. It should go very favorably. I have a great respect for state bee inspectors. I've always had great experiences with the bee inspectors here in Illinois. I always advocate people register their hives. Thank you so much, Dury, for the super sticker. Appreciate it. Some people think it's big government, looking down our backs and all. I've never found that to be true. There's been plenty of times where they've worked with me, where they weren't able to inspect my hives before I maybe put them in an apple orchard or something. I need permission to move them first, and they weren't able to get somebody out here to do that. And they gave me permission over the phone, move them, we'll settle up later. So they've always been very helpful. I've never had a time when I've been frustrated or disappointed or aggravated at state inspectors. I hope that's the case for you. I've heard other stories. I've heard other people tell me the state inspector didn't know a lot and they were frustrated. Maybe it depends on the inspector. Thank you, Jim, for the super sticker. But it will go well. You might want to videotape it just for fun and document it, but they're there to help you, bee inspectors. Yeah. Hey, John, David, first year beekeeper. I have 2 brood boxes, 1 super only, with 2 frames of honey on it. The hive is packed with bees. Can I add another super for a short time so they don't swarm? I understand your fear that they're going to swarm, because it sounds like you're feeling like the hive's kind of crowded. Maybe they could swarm, but normally bees swarm in the spring. Most of us are out of the wood. Like I said earlier, bees can swarm in the fall. Just because we add more boxes does not necessarily negate that the swarm will happen. They can still swarm with plenty of room in the hive. So I would say the best plan is to keep an eye on swarm cells developing when you do your inspections. I think that'd be a better approach. Oh, there's Leah, my daughter-in-law, and we love so much when Vera Lynn is here watching as well. Thanks so much for your donation. Nana and Papa, love you too, Vera Lynn. Hello. And we were hoping Vera Lynn could be on our live audience, but she couldn't make it. And so that would have been cool. We'll get her on here one day. Yeah, good to see you, Leah. Dennis, David, my hives are low on pollen resources, and I cannot get them to feed on the Ultra Bee that I have out. Do you have any suggestions? I do, and that's why I love to put my Ultra Bee. I like to mix 1 teaspoon in my 1-to-1 sugar water. And that way, when the bees consume the sugar water, they're doing the same thing like when they consume nectar. There's always pollen grains in the nectar from flowers. And so by putting a little bit in your 1-to-1 sugar water, they're getting the intake of that pollen protein as well. So that would be my suggestions if you haven't tried that already. Absolutely. We saw additives that you can do that with. Yeah. Jasmine, David, how do we feed extracted honey back to the colony? The best way to do that to prevent craziness and feed all kind of stuff, including possums and raccoons and bears and who knows what else. If you can get a jar, like a feeding jar that we use in the Burns feeder boards in the fall, they have little perforated holes in it, and you can put your honey in there and then turn it upside down. It's not going to drip out, of course, the vacuum, and you can top feed it back to the colonies. That works out good. If the honey is safe, it doesn't have spores of diseases in it, and I'm sure it doesn't. But you could feed it back to the hives that way. If you want to feed it out in the open, you could still use the same principle, but you're going to have to put something to elevate the jar off of a board so that bees can get under there, like an entrance feeder far away from your hives. Local Buzz, Straight Creek Apiary, thanks for your donation. What are your thoughts on feeding corn syrup for winter? I know what you're talking about, and I know a lot of commercial beekeepers they use the high fructose corn syrup. It's a very common feed in the commercial beekeeping industry. I don't go that route because I don't really have hard data that shows it would harm my bees or hurt my bees. A lot of people use it successfully. I just don't have to do it. It's easier for me just to feed them sugar and work with actual sugar. So that's my thoughts on it. Yeah, nothing. I don't know much more than that. I know you can get it too hot and it can kill your bees. Fructose corn syrup. Red beard hives. Oh, Tim Sanders. Yeah. David, I have a swarm to catch. They are in a concrete wall, so can't break open. Do you think the bee cone would work best? So a bee cone, I think you're referring to making a screen cone and like a funnel. And the idea is that if you put that funnel onto the front of the opening, then the bees come out, but they can't get back in. That will not work. Well, let me say it this way. Yeah, I've done that. I've spent years extracting bees out of buildings, commercial buildings and homes. And we've tried that before, and it doesn't work. You get a lot of bees that can't get back in, but they're all foragers. The queen's in there laying eggs, and they all stay in there. They die out. Finally, they die in there because the foragers aren't bringing resources in. And the small hive beetle move in and take over the area and slime it, and it drips all over the place. And then black mold develops and all that. So ants are attracted to that unprotected honey. I have successfully done it before. And the way I did it was I used a bee vac. I knocked a hole toward the bottom of where the hive was in the brick wall. And in the top of it, I used something like butyric acid, which is bee robber. It's used to get bees out of supers. And I think I put it in a smoker maybe and blew smoke in the top hole. It came out the bottom, and the bees kind of wanted to get out of Dodge pretty fast. So that works pretty good. But I don't know if that works every time. That concrete cinder block wall, it's offset, so the holes don't always line up. It's challenging. Yeah. Jonathan, thank you for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate that. Yeah, getting bees out of houses and bricks and concrete walls it's really tough. Gotten them out of chimneys before. That's really messy. Hello, Todd. Southeast Texas, no nectar flow, but still pollen. Lost queen in the hive during a hurricane. E-cells produce queens. Just started laying. Very little cap brood. Should I bring the frame from Healthy Hive? Okay, so you lost your queen. You're queenless. Can you buy a queen? I would like to see a mated queen dropped in there, if that's possible. If you don't want to buy a mated queen, you could put a frame of eggs in there. If you still have drones and they're still flying, you could always see if you get a mated queen that way. Buying a mated queen would be your best bet. It's quick. They start laying faster. If by moving a frame over with eggs, it's going to take a month. But if you're just wanting to bring a frame over from a healthy hive to boost them along, well, that would help too. Buy a mated queen. Yeah. Or a beekeeper may have some for you nearby. Oh, it's good that you have so many questions tonight. Wow, I got to watch the clock. Man, the time went crazy. Well, hello, Tom. Nice to see you. Thank you for your kind donation tonight. Appreciate it. Good to see Tom Copenhaver today. Give a man a fish, feed him a day, teach him to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Your mentor program has been great. Thank you for all your help. You ask questions back to teach me to think through things and help me find answers. Great investment. Hi, Sherry. Well, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. I will say that in our B Team 6 mentorship programs, that's one of the things that I strive to do It's more of a Socratic way of teaching, where instead of me just giving you answers and you not knowing what that answer, why I gave you that answer, I try to ask you questions to stimulate you to think about what would I do? And then we work through it. It's a great way to learn beekeeping, actually. Yvonne, thank you for your donation tonight. Appreciate it so much. All right, we got some giveaways. Yeah, we got some stuff to do, people. Let me bring in the spin the wheel. All right. Spin to win. All these lights in here, it's hard to see it. Yeah, it's hard to read it. But anyway, we have some fun things on the wheel. We got some bee facts. I can show you some tools of the trade, maybe guess an item. If it lands on Crazy Bee Story, I'll have to pull one out of my hat. And then every time it lands on one of the Beak Squad stickers, it's giveaway time. You could win a 30-minute Zoom meeting with me if you want to just pick my brain for a half hour. Bloopers, bees in the news, and a special phone call. If you just want to spend some time on the phone with me, we can win those as well. And a safety tip on how to be safe with your bees. So let's give it a spin and see where it lands. Spin to win. All right. What's it going to fall on? Never know, do we? Oh, okay. A bee fact. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Myths and facts about bees. What's a bee fact? Here's one. Eating honey is a natural way to get an energy boost. And it's a mixture of simple sugars like glucose, fructose, and studies have shown that this works best in preventing fatigue and enhancing athletic behaviors. Isn't that cool? I don't know if you didn't know that, but I'm a cyclist and I do a lot of cycling. One of the routes I take is about 30 miles, and I try to do that in a fast pace. I make my own hydration drink, and I use water, honey, and salt with iodine in it. So I make my own, carbohydrate and electrolytes. So I just make it myself. I'm not going to buy all the drinks and all. So that's one way to do it. All right. That's cool. Let's spin it one more time for fun. See if we can get a giveaway going. If not, we'll do a giveaway anyway. We got some honey to give away tonight. All those giveaway stickers. Why can't it land on one? Come on. Oh, Crazy Bee Story. Come on. No way. Oh, gosh. All right. Let's see. Crazy Bee Story. One of the first times that I made started working with a commercial beekeeper, I made my way. I don't think I've told this story, but I made my way to said state to pick up 100 colonies. And I was in with a business partner of mine that was not a beekeeper, but he was wanting to get into it, and he entered into this with me. He was all ready to go, right? So anyway, we go down and we gathered up these 100 colonies on trucks and all. I feel like I've told this story. But anyway, we got down there, and as we were working these bees, and they were the beekeeper was loading them on our trailers and flatbeds and all. My friend got stung right on the nose, on the inside of the nose. The bee just curled up and stung him inside his nose. I don't know how he got in his hat and a veil or something. And it really bothered him so much that he went and sat in the car. It was, when you're in a big bee yard like that with fork trucks running and big trucks running and all, bees are just aggravated, right? And I remember this experienced commercial beekeeper said, "Hey, where'd your buddy go?" And he got stung in the nose. He's over in the car over there. And so he walked over to the window, and my friend would not roll the window down. And he said, "What's wrong? Get back out here and help us," And he he said, "I can't. I got stung in the nose." And that commercial beekeeper guy, this is what he said: "Well, you just need to cowboy up and get out here." And that's where I got the phrase, "You need to cowboy up." I loved it. You need to cowboy up and get back out here. And unfortunately, my friend didn't stay in business with me very long with bees after that. It was just too much. That's a crazy story. All right, let's give away some honey from the Red Wax Hive. Hashtag, you got anything, Robbie? If not, we can do hashtag red, RED, hashtag honey. That is such a clear jar of honey. Let me show you. You can read through here. Look at that. Wow, that is really thin, isn't it? Okay. So yeah, if you want to win one of these, it's hashtag honey. And we'll see who will win one of the jars that I'll be giving away. It's a video that I made. I think it might be out in Bee Journal now. I wrote an article for Bee Journal. I write every month for Bee Journal. I'm sorry, Bee Culture. And in Bee Culture, I wrote about the red wax experiment. I've made 2 or 3 videos on that. Look back at my videos and you can watch them, where we determine that bees do use the wax that we give them on their frames all the way out. So that's pretty cool. So hashtag honey. Bonnie, love seeing your setup on Saturday. Thanks for all your help. Yeah, Bonnie, good to see you here tonight, and probably fun for you to be in the room here where everything looks entirely different probably than what you're used to seeing here. All right, Robbie, let's go ahead and spin. We're running out of time. Where'd the time go tonight? All right. Hashtag honey. Who's going to win one of the jars? Got to be in the U.S. for me to ship this to you. So if you're not, we'll have to substitute something else for you. Amber is the winner. Way to go, Amber. Look at the screen there at the bottom. It says you need to email us within 24 hours to let us know where to ship you this jar of honey. Honeybees on, let's see, longlane.honeybees@gmail.com. So that's important too. There you go. Okay. Got another giveaway that I want to give away tonight before we get too far away. And can you go full screen with me? There you go. So I went dark. There I am. This is a great book written by my good friend, Dr. John Zavishlak. John and I have done a lot of stuff together with bees and all. And John has a good book here. This is a good book for August. It's got a lot of good pictures. We talked about pests and diseases. And there's a greater wax moth. And so this is a nice book if you want to have at your side. Now, you can get this from their website for free, but if you want the hard copy to, actually take out in the bee yards, hashtag book, put that in the comment section right now, and we'll get this out to you as soon as we can. Hashtag book. All right. Hashtag book. Who wants to win a book tonight? It's don't put capital. It's all lowercase. No need to do that more than once. While we're gathering comments, I'll take a minute to thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you, David, for your wealth of advice. Our beehive is growing quickly here in Colorado. Pre-waxing frames helped us a lot. Appreciate your overwintering advice. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, that's great. I made a video today and I said, I'm here to help beekeepers. I really am. If you watch my videos, I think you see how sincere I am about helping beekeepers really do a good job with their bees. I work hard at it. All right, let's see who will win Dr. Zavishlak's book on honey bee health. Very good book to have. I'd strongly suggest it. It's not overwhelming, but it's really good. Junior, JR. Sorry, JR, you won the book. Good job, JR. Appreciate that. Oh, by the way, JR, I saw today, they told me that you ordered a bunch of winter bee kinds. So I appreciate your order on that too. So thanks for supporting our cause here. That's all the time we have, folks. I want to say I love you. I appreciate you so much. I want to thank everybody tonight for everything that you contributed. If I missed your donation, sorry about that. Remember, if I missed your question, I'll be out in the green chair in the morning and making another video answering all the questions from tonight that I didn't get a chance to answer. I'll answer your questions tomorrow in tomorrow's video. So do join me, David Burns, raw and unedited. You'll get to see what it's like, almost like live stream. So be there, be watching for that video. Again, thank you guys so much. Can't thank you enough for your support of all that you do through the years. Some of you have been on my YouTube channel since the beginning in 2008, supporting me, and I appreciate that. Some of you are new to my channel. Welcome. I hope I can teach you a lot about bees. But all in all, I appreciate it so much. I want to thank Sherry and Jessica and Robbie for being here tonight, running the live stream for me. And you guys are the best. You're great. Beak Squad. Love all of you. And hang in there. Apply some of these things I shared with you tonight and make the best of your bees in the month of August. And I'll see you in a future video and hope you have a good evening. Good night.